Okay, it is March 3rd, 2025. Going to bring you an up-to-date Lake of the Ozarks fishing report brought to you by James and Denise Dale Guide Service. If we can ever help you down here on Lake of the Ozarks for crappie or bass, for whatever type of trip you'd like, we'd sure like to get a chance at your business. We do a lot of trips, educational trips. We just go out. If you're just visiting the lake and you want to catch some fish, we'll just go catch some fish. If you want to learn different strategies or different patterns or different techniques, we do that. And we'll also help you with Garmin electronics. So if we can help you in any way, give us an opportunity and we'll do our best to make you make sure you have a great day on the water. So, all right, well, let's get into it. We're definitely still in winter. But we're coming out of it now. There's been a few tournaments here the last couple of weeks. A real big Toyota Series tournament was last week. If you followed that or seen that at all, you've seen the weights were really low. We kind of expected that. Expected. I think I picked 41 to 43 to win. It ended up taking 40, almost 41. I thought he'd take 20 to get a check. I think it took like 13 or 14 to get a check after 2 days. So it was really tough, extremely tough on a lot of guys. But, that's the dead of winter fishing. There was a lot of ice, just a week ago, a week and a half ago, the lake was froze, and definitely the creeks were frozen up. So there's a lot of fish that live in these creeks. And those are usually the first ones that want to feed better, and you can target them a little better in the spring as we go into spring. And he couldn't get to them. A lot of guys couldn't get to them. The last time we were out to bass fish, we couldn't get to them. So, that's just kind of how it was. It's the way it played out. Obviously, guys still figured it out. And it ended up being a decent tournament, I guess, for about half of the field. But either way, the water level, it is down the winter pool, so it is 656, I think 0.1 the last time I see it. So we're going to say 3.5 to almost 4 foot below full pool, which, I kind of like it. I prefer it this time of year because it really kind of condenses and pushes these fish a little bit tighter. As that water's lower, there's a lot less stuff to be in the water. And they generally, as they're dropping it, which they're still kind of dropping it for winter, they'll tend to bunch up and all relate to kind of similar banks, So kind of like that, kind of condensing them, since the bite isn't real good at all. If you're fishing around more fish, your odds are better you're going to get it.
It narrows down.
Yeah, it narrows down a lot of times where you're going to fish. Water temp's still cold. Up the river arms, in the backs of some bigger creeks, it's still 36 to 38. Down the lower end, down by the dam, that lower, bigger end of the water, you've got, 39 to 41. So it's definitely warmer. Not much warmer, but in the spring, especially as we're coming out of winter, coming off of iced lake, just 2-3 degrees makes a world of difference. Once we get into the 40s and we're from 42 to 46, boy, you'll see this lake really come alive. And that's where we're at. I'm going to say we're a week and a half away from that. We're supposed to get some storms tomorrow. 60 degrees and raining, heavy rain. That's usually what does it. It's usually what turns the lake around as far as going from winter to start into more of a spring pattern, because that water does take a jump in temperatures, and then the fish feel it. They know it. Obviously, our days are getting longer. We got more sunlight. Like we've been talking about the last several weeks. The crappie are full of eggs. The bass are full of eggs. And they're starting to feel it, and they know it's getting close to time to spawn. So I look for the bass fishing, obviously, to get better within a week or so. it can only go up from
so
here.
basically at the toughest that
This
it
this
can
is
be, and now
you don't get any tougher
Yeah.
than the last 2 to 3 weeks of fishing on the Ozarks. But you know, you see a lot of fish, so you know there's fish there and they're healthy. The ones you do catch, but just talking to everyone else, and then ourselves being out watching on live stuff, there's a lot of fish down there, a lot of fish following your baits, and they just won't commit. They're just not. They might be full of all these dying shad. There are a lot of dying shad, and them fish get full, and they don't need to eat, but just out of instinct of a jerkbait or a little Swimbait or even Alabama rig or little jigs or something coming by them, out of instinct, they'll want to follow it or chase it, but just not really commit to it to bite it. So that's,
seeing shad this size and seeing shad this,
right,
big.
exactly. Seeing dying shad, which normally you seem like it's big gizzards dying off, but there's a lot of them smaller 1.5 inch to 3 inch dying off shad. So there's shad of all sizes dying, which it's good for the lake, good healthy shad kill off, and it's just the way of nature taking care of itself and all. So baits, baits, it's kind of the same old wintertime baits. They are going to start to expand a little bit because we're coming out of winter, and as that water warms up and some of these fish go to the bank, whether it be steeper channel banks or these long flat points, we're going to have different baits that we can start to pattern these fish, and that we're going to be more likely to catch them on these different baits. Obviously we've got.
So are they transitioning to kind of shallower and not so much on the bottoms at this point? Is that kind of what we're
obviously that's
to?
what we're thinking, just because of history of what goes on is they're kind of deeper. A lot of fish were 20 foot, 18 to 22 foot this last several weeks, and the majority of fish caught last week were deeper fish around deeper brush, off the bottoms. These creeks, if you could get in the creeks down low, they were towards the backs, but they were in 18 foot on the flat in the very backs. So those fish are going to start going to the bank. They're going to start relating a little bit more transition banks, pea gravel mixture banks, and obviously then we're going to target those with the jerk baits, stick baits. This is a Megabass 110 plus one. This is just a little bit shorter bait, but it's got a little deeper bill. I really like this for this time of year. I know Denise really likes it also. It just seems to get more bites. It's just a shad color, got a little chartreuse stripe, dark back. Looks like these shad. This bait rigged up on 8-pound test. It'll go 6 to 9 foot of water, which gets you down there to where these fish are going to start relating, and feeding them on them. Even if the fish are in 12 to 15, they'll come up off the bottom to hit these baits. What's one you got there? What do you call that?
I've got,
one of your favorite ones.
Spawn cherry.
Spawn cherry.
Yes.
More of a brighter day color. A lot of sun, a lot of flash to that. Where this one's a little bit, kind of partly cloudy. I ain't gonna say dirtier water, but maybe a little bit of clouds. They seem to maybe favor this one, but this is time of year that when they do get active, I think color does make a lot of difference some days. You can experiment through different colors. If you're not getting bites within an hour, 2 hours, I'd switch it up. I'd switch colors. I'd go to something with a little more flash, maybe a little darker. Obviously some of our old faithful baits, something like the old clown. We talk about it every year, but it always catches fish. This is an old Smithwick Rogue clown color. Some days they really want a bright color, and I don't know what it is that triggers them. Maybe it's a different color. Maybe the bluegill really don't have a lot of color, but it just generates bites some days. So if you're fishing with something that's more natural and you're not getting bites, just switch it up with something, really odd outside of the color range that you would think, like a clown color. Definitely if you're in dirtier water, stained water, the clown's always better. But I've seen on bright sunny days, this will get bites too.
Definitely mimicking those shad that you're seeing, because they surface and they'll twitch and they're dying. So it's anything that you can get, that's matching that shad that you're seeing.
And the action is what she's saying, like, you want to work your stick baits just like, watch the shad, how they're acting when they're dying. If they're really moving fairly quick, dying, work your bait a little faster. If they're just sluggish, moving, hardly moving, going up, fading down, try to mimic it.
And there's a difference. You
there's
can see
there's
definitely a difference in their movement.
Mm-hmm. One thing I will say about the shad die-off that I've always felt, if there's an abundance of shad dying, I'm leaving that area. I'm getting away from it. I'm going to where I'm not seeing nowhere near the shad die-off. Or my odds are better.
Less competition.
I'm not trying to compete with the natural shad that they're filling up on when it's just an abundance of dying shad. So I'm gonna go somewhere else. I'm gonna jump creeks. I'm gonna go down lake, up lake. I'm just gonna move a pretty good distance and try to find somewhere where obviously there's gonna be some dying shad, but nowhere near the amount of shad. So I don't have to compete with that. Other baits we're going to start throwing here in a week or so. Your rock crawlers. The rock crawler comes into play really big this time of year. You can see this is just that. What's this called? Phantom
red.
Phantom red or red phantom, something like that. Anyways, and this is just a rock crawler. This is the 55. This one goes just a little bit shallower. You can see it's kind of a red. Dark back. It's more about kind of really reeling it slow, either paralleling some of these steeper banks or maybe these long flat points. You might be way off the bank and be in 6 foot of water, and just reel that thing down and just let it dig into the bottom, and stop it, start it. Just try really slow. This is a Daiwa Tatula 5-to-1 reel. I've got rigged up with 12-pound fluorocarbon. And it's got this is a 7 foot long medium action rod. So it's got a lot of give. So, when it's digging, you can feel it. And then when a fish grabs it, you're going to have a little bit of play in that rod. A lot of times this time of year, they'll come up and nip at it and you'll just have them hooked with just one hook in the back. Same with the stick bait. So you want a rod that's going to give, obviously. You want your drag set, so if they pull or lunge, it's going to peel line instead of pulling them hooks out. It's real critical this time of year.
Make sure your hooks are sharp.
Yeah, to have your drag set light and use the right proper rod. So when they do pull, as they get closer to the rod, or right when you do hook them, setting the hook that you're going to set the hook, into the fish, but not pull it loose to out of the fish. And that's kind of hone up your hooks. Make sure you got good sharp hooks, because the bass, we're in their world. They'll come up behind a bait and take that bait in and spit it out, and you not even know it. So if you feel any resistance, you just kind of sweep that rod, kind of give it a pull. A lot of times when I'm running a crankbait this time of year, instead of just steady cranking, sometimes I'll crank it down and let it hit, and then I almost pull it, kind of like a Carolina rig. I'll just kind of pull it along so I can really feel that bait, and then I'll stop it and kind of reel up to it, let that bait kind of hit, come off the bottom, and then start pulling it again. So if there is a resistance, I'm going to feel it as I'm pulling, and kind of give a little hook set if I feel like a fish has hit it. And another deal, when you're just pulling it, you can really feel that wiggle of your bait, rather it be like a rock crawler, maybe a bigger square bill, like this red and black square bill crankbait. You can really feel that wiggle, and a lot of times that wiggle will quit, and that's the only indication. It's kind of like a light jig bait. It just loads up, or you're feeling it, and you quit feeling that wiggle. You just kind of give it a little pull. So if there is a fish on or has your bait, you're going to feel them and hook them. So, the square belt and crankbaits, they're really going to come on here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and be a big player, in just catching a lot of bass. Along with the stick bait, obviously, we're going to throw that. The stick bait and the crankbait's kind of the same deal. On some steeper banks, bigger rock stuff, but we're going to start favoring little pockets, little pea gravel pockets, little corners as you get back in creeks. Just these little corners that go into pockets, windy secondaries, windy splitter points. If the wind's blowing directly in on it, you always want to work those. It just seems to generate fish feeding, and it might be I call it rolling the water, rolling that warm water. As that sun heats up that top foot or two and rolls that water, it puts a lot of oxygen in it, puts nutrients in it. It's
maybe stirring it up. It's warming up, and the fish just gravitate to it. So it's just something kind of, if you're looking to start, where to start. Them are our stick bait setups. Obviously, the Alabama rig, it played a big part, just because it's a big reaction bait and it will get fish to respond. And it's going to be really good for another month or two, until that water gets up in the mid upper 50s. But it's just your standard A rig, 5 wires, 3 hooks. This is a 3.5, 3.8, either Kitech, Reaction Innovations. Bait Cave makes a real good one. 6th Sense they all make a lot of good baits now. You just, like we always say, I always try to just use a natural color, maybe put an odd color in the center, a little chartreuse on it, maybe a little red, maybe a blue one, something just different, maybe a bright chartreuse one, something that when them fish come and crash in this bait, they're going to hone in on, obviously, one with the hook on it. So, you can throw this right now on 25-pound fluorocarbon, or I usually stick with the braid, because I like to get down close to the brush piles and even hit the brush piles and pull it loose. So obviously the braid, you're not going to lose your baits. Yeah. You can pull them loose. So it's going to be more of a Alabama rig, more brush pile related, I would say. Obviously you can catch them just going down the bank, but your odds are better if you can find brush and fish it over the top of the brush, alongside brush, around brush. Whether it be back on flats, out on points, in the middle of creeks, in the ditches, where these fish like to go. A lot of these fish will follow your ditches in the backs, or coming out of your coves. They kind of got a natural ditch, whether it be a creek or just a natural runoff ditch. Them bass will get in those ditches and work their way up to the banks, or up to these little pockets. So it's a good place to throw the baits. That's probably our moving baits, wouldn't you say? Your swim baits. Obviously we're catching them a lot of fish, a lot of crappie, and still bass on these swim baits. She's got 2 different ones we like to use. I've got this one set up on a 1/4 ounce. It's called Moon Eye.
Yeah.
And it's got a really nice keeper up here, and it really holds. This is a 4-inch Kitech. So basically I'm looking at mimicking the dying shad that you're seeing. I have it set up on, I have braid with my fluorocarbon leader, and this bait, I'm reeling it off the bottom. A lot of fish right now are kind of on the bottom, and they're moving their way shallow, but this particular bait right here is a really good bait that you can speed it up, slow it down. The retrieve can be you can vary the retrieve as they're letting you know how active they are.
Right, you kind of reel on the bottom. When I say bottom, or she says bottom, we'll let it go to the bottom and then lift it up and swim it maybe 16, 18 inches, 2 foot off, and see if we get some response as far as fish coming up. If there's some active fish, watch them on live scope. And if we see active fish, obviously we're going to work on them for a while with either stick bait, little swim bait. Right. We've got a new bait here we're testing out. The Crappie just come out with a new little 3-inch swim bait. We've been throwing it for crappie. We caught a mess of crappie on this the other day. I don't know if we caught any bass the other day on it or not, no. But we have caught some the last couple weeks on this, and this is going to be a big player for us and anybody really. And this is, I don't even know if they have a name yet. I think it's going to be called the COG swim bait, is what I think, but that ain't secure or a secure name just yet. Right. But this is still, testing these out. They're working real good. They got a little thinner back here on the tail, so they swim, they wobble a little better.
Really durable.
Real durable. And lifelike. So looking forward to those. You can be watching for these to hit the market here pretty soon. But that's a COG swim bait by Crappie. And the heads we're throwing those on are what? What is?
This is a 16th ounce, but it is. We have them at the fit stores. They're called Screwing Around, and it has the wire keeper here up next to your jig head, and basically you work your bait onto the coil keeper all the way up to the head, and it is a great presentation. It's a great way to really hold on to that bait and have numerous catches with your bait. And they do come in 16th ounce, of course, and then an 1/8 ounce.
This is your 1/8 ounce. It's got a number 1/0 sickle hook in it. This is a little bigger hook. The 2 works great for crappie, and you catch bass on it. But we use this a lot at just open water fish and for bass. Whether you're seeing them out of schools, you're trying to pick them up off the bottom, alongside docks, around brush, whatever. But this number 1, a little stouter hook on the 1/8 ounce works real good for the bass. We use this a lot. Those baits are really catching. I ain't gonna say a lot of fish because we're not catching a lot of bass right now. But those are baits that we'll kind of rely on to get some bites, and they're going to continue to get bites all the way up to spawn. That little swim bait, that little single swim bait, anywhere around where these fish are at or where they're headed, close to spawning, what have you. So that little swim bait is always a great bait.
It's a great way to, you've got your big moving baits, your A-rig. It's just kind of a way to kind of finesse.
Yeah, it's just a finesse swim bait.
Finesse swim bait that if they're not real active, you're probably going to talk them into it with your presentation.
Yep. And if you can drop these, find them big balls of shad or big balls of crappie, and work these swim baits just below those shad balls. That's where you're going to get your bass. Your bass are hanging out down there. You can see them. You'll see them run into them shad. So if you just mimic it, and there's one isolated swim bait off from them shad, and there's bass around there, that's the one he's going to go after and get. So, it's definitely a productive bait right now just to generate bites. The jig bite has been slow. Well, everything's been slow, but the jig bite, the swamp bug bite, that's coming. We're giving another week. As that water creeps into the 40s, low 40s, that bite's going to get a lot better. Along with the neg rig bite, just a little mushroom head, with just a little 2.5-inch little. This is back end of a Cinco or a Ned worm, whatever. They make all kind of. But that little thing will obviously generate a lot of bites right now. Throw that on braid with a fluorocarbon leader, and so you can feel everything and just drag it along. This bait just works great. Just dragging along, trying to get some bites. Obviously, our swamp bug. This is swamp bug time of year. Just a 1/4 ounce shaky pro head. I throw it on 12-pound fluorocarbon on a medium heavy 7-foot rod. but that's just your green pumpkin red. I usually start with that, and I work it, on rocks mixture of rocks, baseball size up to softball size, and then pea gravel mix, even some smaller gravel, steeper channel banks. But then I'll also play with it, where it kind of flattens out, a little pea gravelly mix. I'm really going to start concentrating on pea gravel, rather than pea gravel being 8-10 foot of water or right up off the bank. If you see that transition on the bank right now, because that water is 4 foot low, you can really see the transitions. Just work that transition out from the bank out 8-10 foot of water, because them fish are relating to where spawning stuff, spawning type banks, rocks. They're already there. They're already looking. They're feeling it out, and they'll hang out there for another month before they actually go in and spawn. But that's just the swamp bug, that color. Obviously that's your crockett or swamp bug, the smaller one. Green pumpkin red or moss candy. That's my two colors I pretty much throw. You're either going to get them, bite it, or not. And then obviously my little finesse jig. This is just a Crocketer 3/8 ounce finesse jig with the Crocketer ring crawl, green pumpkin red on that, 12 or 15 pound fluorocarbon on that. Same rod and reel setup. This is 7 foot. This is 7 foot Falcon, medium heavy. This is with a Lose Pro qualifier, 7-to-1, kind of a general all around. The reel's not overly critical right now. This is more of a flipping setup. The Pro qualifiers, they flip real good for me, but they don't cast worth a darn. They just don't reach out and cast. So for something like that, I'm going to throw a better reel like this Lose Hyper Mag. This is 8-to-1, but these reels here are a lot better quality reels, and they will zing these baits out, especially these lighter baits. And the lighter line, you can really cast them out there a long ways and cover a lot more ground, and not overwork yourself trying to cast, And
it's the setup's very light.
Exactly, that's a super point as far as in the wintertime, and the bite is so light. The lighter your rod and reel setup, the more you're going to feel, all the way down to the line. The smaller diameter line has less dissipation in the water. It goes directly to your bait. It doesn't want to sink as much, so it's a more direct line to the bait and to the fish to feel a bite. So this light setup for a jig, swamp bug, Ned rig, anything on the bottom, you want a really light, proper setup. This is a finesse jig rod. It says right here, finesse jig rod. A lot of brands make them, but you just want a rod and reel setup for what you're doing. It's real critical when you're jig fishing, especially this time of year when your bottom is on the your bait is on the bottom, and you're trying to detect any type of change in feel, action, whatever, compared to say when you're flipping in September where that bait doesn't even hit the bottom and it's 4 foot to the side, or you feel a big hit like in later April. Right now you don't feel that. You just feel a little spongy, little heavy weight. Something's not right. You feel your bait pretty consistent, and then something changes. That's when you want to lift up on it or just set the hook. So real important to have the right rod and reel set up for that. That's going to be it until this pattern here, what we're talking about, what we're doing, we're going to do that from now until April. And then we might change up a little bit. As that water gets upper 40s, obviously we're going to throw a big spinnerbait. We're not quite there yet. Will they hit it? Yeah, they'll probably hit it right now. But probably not very many. But that's more of a little bit later, March, early April, big spinnerbaits back in the shallows around brush and stuff, shallow docks. As these big fish get up, you get some big rains, you got some dirty water coming in, big spinnerbait's going to come into play, stuff like that. So, other than that, that's about all we're doing right now, all we're going to do for the next few weeks. We do have some openings We've got several, I say so, we got 2 or 3 trips coming up, for the next several weeks. But there's always openings, and we can always move things around sometimes to get you out. Obviously, crappie right now is excellent. Denise and I went out the other day and was playing with these new CLG swim baits, and we caught a mess of crappie for our dinner. I think we caught 15 big ones in about 45 minutes. And then we were playing with the bass, but once we had a crappie. But the crappie are in big schools right now, out in the open where we can catch them, secondary points in the middle of creeks. They're coming up. Now they're suspended, say 10, 12 foot down, even some higher, 8 foot to 15 foot. There's still some deep, but right now you want to target them ones that are, 8 foot to 12 foot. Those are your ones up. They're feeding. They're a little more active.
A little easier to get to. Yeah.
And they're feeding. They're following some of these shad around. And they're also just out there baking in the sun, soaking up the more sunlight and daylight and everything that gets them up there. So we can definitely get you out and catch some crappie right now. It's on the whole month of March and April is excellent for crappie. If you just want to come down, catch you a dinner or catch a lot of fish or just enjoy the lake. Now's the time to do it for crappie. Like I said, the bass is going to get better. We can definitely show you how to work the jigs, the swamp bugs, the stick baits, what to target, what they look like on live scope. And even if you don't have live scope, you care less about the electronics, we can show you the banks and what to look for now, especially now with that water down. We can show you, see those rocks, that transition, what it looks like when we talk about corners, what those are, splitter points, secondary points, major creeks, runoffs, all the stuff, the different terms we use a lot. We can kind of put a visual on it too, what they look like. Would you say this is the best time of year? Obviously,
Absolutely.
to do that, you can see a lot of stuff sticking out of the water. Even a little brush that's barely sticking out. When that water comes up 3-4 foot, that's where I'm going to be throwing my buzz bait. When that water hits 50. So, I make a mental note or I mark it on my graphs, what have you. So other than that, that's about all we got for you. Other than if you're going into the new year, obviously go through your batteries. Make sure your batteries are up to par. Whether you're running a lot of electronics, one electronics, no electronics, you still got trolling motors. You got to have a trolling motor. You got to have batteries to run that. Your big motor, your live wells, all that. And it all starts with your batteries. So you hear me talk about them all the time because we've been using them for several years now. But Wholesale Batteries Incorporated, they are one in St. Peter's. There's one in Kansas City. You can look them up online. You can call them and talk to them guys about batteries. And they deal with all kind of batteries, boat batteries, lithium batteries, deep cycle batteries, your individual batteries for, say, live scope, battery charging systems. They can help you with your setup. Just call them, say, hey, this is what I got, this is what I'm running. What do I need? Do I need a group 24? Do I need a group, 30? Do I need lithiums? What do you recommend? Whether it be charging systems, whatever it has to do with batteries, they will help you out. They have saved us. They've helped us. And we run only batteries from Wholesale Batteries because of the support we get. So look them up, call them. Obviously, Sport World Boat Center down here in Sunrise Beach, right there by Hurricane Deck Bridge. Been dealing with Gary and his boys for about 20 years now. So if that tells you anything about, it's easy to be loyal. We're big loyalists. Loyal, I don't know what the word is, loyal people to other good people and who to take care of you and, the old service you after sale and don't forget about you, but they're always there to help regardless what it is. And obviously it makes it easy to be loyal because I know we're going to get the service, we're going to get the care, we're going to get the attention, and we're going to get the best, all around, whether it be prices on, trolling motors, electronics, obviously boats, whatever it is, service. You know, these guys, they fish, they boat, they do it all. So they know what we're talking about when you go in there, and they'll know what you're talking about when you go in there. They're our Vexus dealer. He's always got a lot of good used boats in there right now. You know, and all price ranges, you know, from probably 12, 15,000 to 100,000. You know, it's the boat market's all over the place. He's got the aluminum Vexus, obviously the aluminum fiberglass, the Vexus fiberglass, the new models, and can help you with whatever you need to know. You know, everything else, you know, the AFCO gear, you can see, you know, we're always AFCO. The thing about AFCO is we were down in Mexico a couple weeks ago, and we were wearing our AFCO sun shirts. Now I've got on one of these zip, what do you call it? Quarter zips. Nice sweatshirt. I've got winter gear. We've got our AFCO Reapers. So they've got something for every season. One company, one shop. You can get on there. You can get sun shorts. You can get your real nice fishing pants, I call them, where, you know, as we're getting into spring or even fall a lot, you got these cool mornings, but then it warms up. You can take these light pants off and have your shorts on. The winter gear, rain gear, whatever. You got everything you need through AFCO, one-stop shop. So, you know, other than that, man, that's really all we got for you. But we'll give you another update, you know, in a week, and we'll keep you up to date with the progress of what the fish are doing. There's Anglers in Action next week. Saturday. There's a Bass World next weekend. There's a Pro-Am next weekend.
There's a Solo Pro.
Yeah, there's a Solo Pro. So you can just get on Missouri Conservation and, no, not Missouri Conservation, Missouri Water Patrol regatta permits. And you can look down through every single one, all of them coming up. It gives you the contact number, what ramp it's out of, how many boats they expect, the whole deal. So you can just get on there and find out what you want to fish. Or if you don't want to fish tournament, you know, just come down and fish. All the lake is open right now. All your ramps are usable. I would say Lynn Creek's too shallow. I think Pahitsi's probably to that point. You don't want to use Pahitsi. They'll put up barricades. You know, Lynn Creek's too low. Wigwam is going to be borderline. Brown's Bend's borderline. You can get in these places. A lot of times you got to push your boat off and crank them back on. You don't want to fire that big motor up. But, you know, obviously Kaufman, PV2, Hurricane Deck, Larry Gale, they're all open. Station 46, you can put in there all year. I'm not missing any of them. The last one to open was Gravois, and it's open now. Gravois Mills, that's way in the back of the creek there. It freezes up first, and it's the last to thaw, but everything's open now. I don't see it freezing up anymore. We're going to have a day or two of cold, but not like we had that froze it up, -6s, -5, whatever. So we're good now. The lake's in great shape, and the fishing is only going to get better from here. So, like I said, if we can help you, give us a call, 573-204-9005 for me. Give me a call, text me, email either one of us at jdillbass@gmail.com. Denise is 314-226-3099. Or log on to dillguideservice.com, and it's also under James Dill Guide Service. They both will direct you to our website for prices, pictures, kind of what we're doing, what have you. So, but the best way is just give us a call or text us, and you know, for whatever questions, any questions you got about guiding, about fishing, about Lake of the Ozarks, restaurants, places to stay, repairs on boats, props, you name it, whatever it is, text us, call us. We'll help you however we can.
And any of the content that we shared, if you have any questions on it, you know, or anything about wholesale or need some contacts, we'll definitely give us a holler and we can get
let them know we told you to give them a call. You know, and you know they're going to give you the attention regardless. That's just how they are. Anybody we talk about are all great people, regardless if you're just walk in off the street or if you say we sent you. So either way, it don't really matter. But either way, like I said, we'll keep you up to date here. We'll start doing once a week now from here on out, and keep you up to date to what's going on. So thanks for tuning in. Leave us a comment, please, and share our site so we can keep the word out. If you're don't have nothing to do, you're not on the water, you're in St. Louis, or I don't care where you're at. If you're in Mexico, you can tune in to the Outdoor Show every Saturday morning with Bob Rankin on KMRS. KRMS radio. You can live stream it, listen to it live. They always have guests, great guests from around the lake, just a variety of guests from all caliber of fishermen. Hunting, turkey season's coming up. I know we're getting, Denise is ready, I'm ready. We're going to get out and get us a turkey again.
He has to work, so I'm getting out.
I've got to work. Opening day's the 20th, so I think I'm going to go to the 20th before they get out to get a job. No, I'm just kidding. But I'll keep it, we've got plenty of turkey here. We're both going to get them. I think me and John will get them. Her and Marty will get them. And we'll see whose beard's the longest and whose spur's the biggest. So, but regardless, that's another month and a week away.
No,
but
it's this month, 21st.
This is March.
Yeah.
It's April. April it opens.
Okay.
Turkey season. April 15th.
Okay.
April 20th. See, she'll be out there when she's not supposed to. April 20th is turkey season. Anyway,
KRMS radio, he said Saturday is live, but then they also have their shows are archived, so you can get on.
And that's 8 a.m. every Saturday morning for at least an hour. A lot of times they go over because of some of the clowns they have in the radio show, and it's always a great show. Whatever. So Bob did finally beat me on our bet this week on fishing. He came from behind and got the win. So
he did.
Either way, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you in a week.